Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the NQ Addicts Scalping course, focused strictly on scalping NQ. And this is going to go over the intraday overall strategy that we use in scalping NQ, the ultimate time frame we use, which is generally the 5 minute, but it can be adapted to any time frame, even lower. But I particularly recommend the 5 minute, and the indicators and tool used in performing this strategy. So before we actually dive into the strategy, just a little bit about myself. My name is Chris Drysdale. I've been day trading since 2009. So I've been trading quite some time. Most recently, I was an audited profitable trader when I was with Warrior Trading and Ross Cameron. You could actually find me in some of his YouTube videos. I was a short small cap trader, hard to borrow small cap equities, and I did very, very well with them. In order to trade with them and be one of their educators, I had to be audited, and I had the $250,000 profit badge when I was with them. And Ross had also paid me to design a course that's on their platform that is strictly focused on shorting small cap. So if that's something you're into, you can head on over to Warrior Trading and find my course there. But this is my NQ scalping course. This is what I do now. I focus all of my time strictly on scalping NQ. I am an NQ addict. I love it. I think it's the perfect vehicle for quick intraday trading, and I've done very well with it. I've also spent many years as just a full-time trader. This is all I've done. As of late, I am actually an executive at a fintech trading firm out of Miami. For privacy concerns, I'm not going to disclose the name of it. It's a fairly large company. We're pre-IPO, and we focus mainly on futures and options trading. That also provides trading alerts and all types of things trading. So as you can imagine, I am just consumed with trading all the time between my actual full-time job where I'm also allowed to actually trade. I do a lot of my trading at my job. I have multiple screens and I am perfectly allowed to trade there. I trade a lot of Globex opening, so 6, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I trade pre-market early, around 5, 6, 7 in the morning, and then intraday as well. So a lot of experience here, guys. I'm excited to kind of dive into this course. I just put it together, and I'm really excited about this community. I love NQ, I love trading, and just really excited about what I'm building here with a couple of other NQ traders specifically. So module 1 here is going to focus on the basics. How do we define scalping? So that can be defined in a lot of different ways in the trading world. How we're going to define it here are trades with quick holding times. Generally, we're going to measure them in minutes. This is going to be a strategy focused on consistent winners with small profits. That small profits is subjective. So a small profit for me on a daily basis is about $300 on a trade, $200 to $300. So that could be $50 for you in the beginning. It could be $20. So it's really subjective. I don't want you to get too focused on that. But the point is that we're strategically focused on having a lot of winners. So generally speaking, there's not going to be any huge home run winning trades. But in that same vein, there should be absolutely no big losing trades. All right, all these trades are going to be consistent, within the same parameters of risk to reward. So we should be looking at a high accuracy of winning trades, at least 70% or more. We're going to have about an equal risk to reward. So, for every $10 we risk, we can make $10. It could be even slightly positive. So making a little more than we risk, but that's generally where it lands with this strategy. And why do we scalp? Okay. We don't scalp because it's easy. I don't want people going into this because, this is the easy way to make money in the market. It's not. It can actually be quite difficult to master, but there's a lot of really good reasons to focus on scalping in the market. And it's my favorite strategy. It's one I focus on. I've been doing for a long time. And it just fits my personality. So it has to fit your personality. You have to enjoy it. There's going to be a lot of people that just enjoy longer hold times, letting bigger trades pan out, hitting home run trades. And if that's you, scalping probably isn't your method. But there's a lot of people who love scalping and they find their edge there. And there's a lot of reasons. One is it can be easier to manage risk, because there are no big losers. It can be mentally pleasing. We win a lot of trades. We win more than we lose, so that's nice. Most of the time we're flat, so we're not sitting in a position. So we don't have the emotions tied to always being in a long-term position, checking the charts, and being able to walk away. I'm done trading for the day. I don't have to look at the screens anymore because I'm not holding a position anymore, as opposed to a long-term swing trader who might be holding a position for a couple of days to a couple of weeks to a couple of months. And lastly, there's a proven edge, especially with highly volatile instruments like NQ. I know a lot of guys that do really well scalping NQ, but again, it's not easy, but it's been proven it can be done and done successfully. There's a lot of guys making a lot of money, so it can be done. Now, why NQ? And it's not just because we're addicted to NQ. There's a reason we're addicted to NQ. One, it's extremely volatile. It's always moving. You'll get nice, large, short-term ranges, even in Globex sessions, so after hours. You'll get nice moves on this. It moves, and it moves a lot, and it moves regularly. So it's just a great scalper's paradise in this, and that's what draws a lot of us to it. And we can be addicted because it's always moving. We could trade literally 23 hours a day except for Saturdays, and Sunday mornings. It's open all day, all night, except for an hour between 5 and 6 p.m. So you're welcome to trade. Doors open at the casino, right? We have clean cumulative order flow, which is easy to interpret, and I'll go into that later. But if you're watching volume and order flow on this symbol, it typically moves in a nice congruence with order flow, so you can pick up nice momentum moves. There's low margin requirements, so you only need $1,000 to trade one NQ contract, and you can make a decent amount of money with one contract on an E-mini. You only need $100 to trade a micro. There's no pattern day trader rule, or the PDT, so you don't need $25,000 in your brokerage account to be able to day trade it. You can go in and out without having that amount of money. So another great reason to day trade NQ and just futures in general. It's prop firm friendly, so a lot of traders who are trading prop firms like Top Step and Apex love NQ. It's a great vehicle for trading in those accounts. And lastly, it's easy to long and short, and that's obviously for all futures. But if you're coming from equities and stocks, shorting can be a burden, and there's just a lot of things that go on with shorting in equities or stocks versus futures. So it's just another really nice attribute. And I didn't put it on here, but trading futures, you get preferential tax treatment. If you're trading a cash account, it's treated like long-term capital gains. For 60% is long-term, whereas 40% is short-term, I believe. I could be a little off on those numbers, but I think that's about accurate. And lastly, damn, she is just so sexy. It's just such a great symbol. It moves beautifully, and there's just so much opportunity every day on NQ. So show me the money. Why are we trading NQ? I'll give you a couple examples here. NQ is, trading at roughly 20,000 at the time I make this video. So 20,000 is a big number. If you're trading stocks, you're probably used to trading either penny stocks, a couple of dollars to a couple $100. NQ is $20,000. So a 5-point move can literally happen in a few seconds on NQ. And with just one contract, an E-mini contract on NQ, a 5-point move is $100. If you're trading two contracts, that's $200, a small move. Commonly, I can grab a 10-point move with two contracts or more. So I'm looking at least at a $400. Now, obviously, this goes both ways. But if you can put together an edge with high probability setups combined with proper scaling techniques in and out of several scalps, we can earn hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a day with just a few hours or less of focus on NQ. Literally any time of day. So if you have a full-time job or a family or a lot of other commitments, it's not a problem. You'll still be able to trade NQ. So there's no excuse to not be able to get into this with access to prop firm capital and brokerages with low margin rates. The barrier to entry is super low. My price tag on this community is super low. So this is for everybody. I don't care how broke you are or how rich you are. You can start learning to do this with very, very little money. And you can learn to be successful. So there's literally no excuses. Let's go over some of the rules. Okay? And this is trading. This is a business. This is not an arcade. It's not a casino. Okay, so we have rules here. Some of the rules are going to include that we practice in demo accounts or with micros until you're consistently profitable. So you're going to stay away from minis unless you're a proven profitable trader with NQ. Okay. We set a profit target at max loss every day. If it's hit, we're locked out for the day. We can't trade anymore and we come back tomorrow. We're going to establish our max size based on our daily max loss. So our max size in terms of micro contracts or e-mini contracts. And you're not allowed to go over how big that size is. And lastly, we need to develop a proven ability to ourselves. We need to trust ourselves that we can cut losers quick and or scratch out break even of trades. Okay, one of the biggest hurdles for NQ traders, okay, is not sticking to stops or not bailing out of a trade that's not going the way we thought it would go and holding on to that sucker and hoping it reverses. Okay, NQ will ultimately punish you for that behavior. You might get away with it a couple times, but you can ruin a day, a week, or even a month's worth of good trading by just not following that rule and just not getting out of a trade you should have gotten out of. Okay, holding that sucker, a leverage instrument, letting it go against you, hoping it reverses, and it doesn't, can take you out. So you need to trust yourself. You have to believe that you will do what you're supposed to do when it's time to do it, and that includes cutting losers quick and scratching out if need be of a winning trade before it turns into a loser. Some more rules. We don't trade the open. Okay, it's too volatile. It moves too fast, hard to get a read, so I just don't trade it. First hour of regular trading hours, so 9:30 to 10:30, hands off. I also don't trade the first half hour of Globex. Okay, so that's when the market reopens at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't trade that first half hour. Okay, they're just off limits. They could be attractive because they're whipping around and you can make big profits, but the risk is not worth the reward, and you can get taken out too easily. So we don't trade it. We stick to the strategy and only trade NQ. Okay, everything else is just noise. It's a distraction. We're here to make money, and our strategy is focusing on NQ. We're the NQ addicts. So I don't want to hear anything about any other symbols, market, stock. It doesn't matter. We wait for our ideal market conditions, and I'll go more into this in the strategy, but there are ideal market conditions for when we trade and when we don't trade. One of the first questions we're going to ask ourselves when we sit down to trade, is this the right market condition? Yes or no? If it's no, we sit on our hands and we wait. That market condition can occur at any time. All right, so it's worth sitting there. I don't have to walk away for the day. But until that market condition comes about, I'm not doing anything. Lastly, we embrace patience. Okay, patience is paramount to being a good sniper. Waiting for the right market conditions and then our right entries and everything to align. Okay, FOMO is our enemy, fear of missing out. It destroys us. And this can occur a lot in NQ. There are times when it can just start ripping and start just freight training in one direction, and you feel like you're missing out on this amazing move. You could be making ton of money. We stay away from that. Okay, we don't trade news. We don't trade the open. We don't trade crazy volatility in one direction. It's just not part of my strategy. I lose money for the most part when I try to do that. So we trade much more manageable and predictable conditions. Okay, so we stay away from all the craziness, the hype, the excitement, the big fast moves, the freight training. Okay, we wait for ranges to occur, and then we trade our ranges. So that kind of concludes this first intro video, a little bit about me, a little bit about our rules, the basics to the strategy, getting everything out there. The next module, we will discuss the overarching framework for the strategy and all of the essential concepts necessary to understanding it. So I will see you in the next video.